Have you ever wondered what happened when Hollywood's biggest stars turned their cameras skyward? Orson Welles, Marilyn Monroe, and Ronald Reagan chased ghostly lights, hosted secret screenings of alien autopsies, and scribbled star charts by moonlight. From desert vigils to clandestine penthouse seances, their obsession with UFOs blurred fantasy and reality. Tonight, we unveil the true stories behind those midnight encounters and the cosmic mysteries that haunted Tinseltown. Shirley Mlan. Shirley Mlan's fascination with the paranormal became almost as famous as her Oscar-winning turns on screen. Long before New Age circles embraced UFO lore, Mlan was already chronicling strange lights in the sky and otherworldly visitations. In her 1983 memoir, Out on a Limb, she described walking on a desert plateau to see a glowing craft hovering silently like a pearl in the night. According to her account, it descended to treetop level before vanishing without a trace, leaving only an electric hum in the still air. Her public declarations shocked studio executives accustomed to controlling their stars' images. Yet, Mlan refused to back down. She hosted seances at her Bel Air home, invited UFO researchers to private screenings of her films, and even staged impromptu cosmic communion gatherings at Hollywood parties. Biographers note that these pursuits cost her certain roles, yet she wore the reputation of Hollywood's premier alien enthusiast like a badge of honor. Beyond sensational headlines, Mlan's journey tapped into a broader cultural shift. As Cold War tensions gave way to cosmic curiosity, she became a bridge between Tinseltown glamour and fringe science. Her later books, Dancing in the Light in 1985 and You Can Get There From Here in 1991, delved deeper into her encounters, blending spiritual self-help with vivid UFO testimonies. In the end, Mlan's legacy in Hollywood is twofold: a trailblazing actress who never shied from cosmic questions, and a public figure who dared to claim that sometimes the biggest mysteries lie not on the soundstage, but beyond our planet. Gene Barry. When Gene Barry stepped onto the set of 1953's The War of the Worlds, he was playing a scientist battling Martian invaders. In the late 1960s, Barry began attending UFO conventions across the American Southwest, rubbing elbows with ranchers who swore they'd seen saucers skim the desert floor. In a 1972 interview with Fate magazine, he recalled a night in Roswell when an unmarked craft darted across the moonlit sky faster than any jet I'd ever seen. Unlike many stars who treated UFO folklore as a punchline, Barry treated it as a lifelong passion. He collected thousands of newspaper clippings on sightings, wrote personal letters to military insiders, and even financed small expeditions into remote canyons where contactees claimed to have met benign, human-like beings. Fellow convention-goers remember Barry buying coffee for eyewitnesses, listening patiently to tales of flashing lights and eerie radio static. Barry's public image never quite recovered from the stigma of UFO obsession. Agents warned him against discussing it in press junkets. Studios quietly sidelined him from high-profile roles. Yet he persisted, believing that Hollywood's scientific veneer should include room for cosmic wonder. By the time of his death in 2009, Gene Barry had not only left behind a reel of classic sci-fi performances, but also a trove of personal journals filled with star maps, coded sketches of alleged alien craft, and heartfelt letters to President Nixon pleading for a formal investigation into the greatest show in the universe. Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason, the booming voice behind TV's The Honeymooners, harbored a secret obsession that couldn't be contained by laugh tracks or nightclub stages. In the late 1960s, after a screening of 2001 A Space Odyssey, Gleason confided to close friends that he'd been visited by strange figures in a U.S. Air Force hangar, figures he claimed were displayed during a covert Pentagon briefing. According to his inner circle, Gleason was personally invited by President Nixon to view what he believed were alien bodies preserved in metal canisters. This extraordinary claim first surfaced in a 1975 Playboy interview, though editors cut it from the final print for fear of ridicule. Undeterred, Gleason began incorporating UFO motifs into his nightclub acts, joking about guests from Jupiter and riffing on government cover-ups. Yet behind the humor lay genuine conviction. Biographer Clifford Irving later revealed that Gleason kept a safe in his Beverly Hills home stuffed with classified-looking documents, crudely typed leaked memos, and Polaroids of distant lights in the night sky. Colleagues described the star as alternately electrified and paranoid. Some nights he'd host seances. On others, he'd pace the terrace, scanning the horizon with binoculars. Studio executives, worried about insurance and public image, quietly pressured him to tone down the antics. But Gleason refused to let UFO skepticism derail his quest for truth. In his final years, he worked on a script titled Men from Beyond, a drama blending noir suspense with alleged eyewitness accounts. Though unfinished at his death in 1987, it remains a testament to a performer who never stopped believing that the ultimate encore might come from another world. Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson's name evokes the silent era glamour of Sunset Boulevard, but few recall her later life spent chasing celestial mysteries. In the early 1950s, Swanson grew intrigued by metaphysics after a chance meeting with a Hollywood medium. She began documenting vivid dreams of celestial visitors, tall, slender figures bathed in pale blue light, who imparted cryptic messages about humanity's destiny. Swanson's private journals, later donated to a paranormal archive, revealed detailed sketches of these beings and transcripts of her midnight conversations with them. She believed these star travelers were guiding her toward a spiritual renaissance, and she experimented with telepathy exercises in her Bel Air estate. Friends report that she hosted private astral projection salons, where guests reclined on cushions while she attempted to lead group journeys to far-off planets. Despite her legendary status, Swanson faced ridicule when she spoke publicly of these experiences. Tabloid columns labeled her Hollywood stargazer, and some old guard studio heads quietly severed ties. Yet she persisted in blending art and the unknown. In 1958, she produced and starred in Beyond the Veil, a short film combining abstract visuals with voiceover readings from her journals. Though it never saw wide release, bootleg copies circulated among UFO enthusiasts for decades. By the time of her death in 1983, Gloria Swanson had secured her place in two worlds, one as a pioneer of cinematic drama, the other as a fervent seeker of cosmic truths. James Stewart. James Stewart's on-screen persona, stoic, trustworthy, everyman, belied a private fascination with mysteries that defied earthly explanation. During the late 1940s, while filming on location in the Himalayas for a wartime drama, Stewart reportedly aided an anthropologist friend in smuggling a piece of what locals called the Yeti's hide into the United States. Though this tale treads the line between cryptozoology and extraterrestrial lore, Stewart's involvement sparked whispers in Hollywood circles about his belief in creatures not of this world. Back in Los Angeles, Stewart joined a small, invitation-only society of scientists, writers, and actors who met monthly to discuss UFO sightings. Minutes from those gatherings, now housed in a private collection, detail his calm voice, recounting sightings of triangular craft, silent as shadows, and sharing grainy film strips captured by private pilots. Fellow members recall Stewart's methodical approach. He'd cross-reference military radar logs, weather reports, and civilian testimonies before drawing any conclusion. Studios tolerated his extracurricular interests so long as he delivered box office hits. But as UFO mania peaked in the 1950s, producers began to worry about his image. Stewart was quietly nudged away from press conferences when UFO questions surfaced, yet he never disavowed his beliefs. In later interviews, he'd offer enigmatic smiles and deflect with quips about a universe too vast to dismiss. By the time of his death in 1997, James Stewart left behind not only a filmography of American classics, but also a lesser-known legacy, that of a Hollywood legend unafraid to entertain the possibility that somewhere beyond our clouds, life might take forms we've only begun to imagine. Rock Hudson. Few stars embodied the classic matinee idol more than Rock Hudson. Yet, behind the camera, his fascination with UFO lore was anything but conventional. In the mid-1950s, Hudson began circulating among a circle of private collectors who traded purported alien artifacts. Letters uncovered in his estate reveal that he purchased Polaroids, claiming to show gray-skinned figures at close range, paying thousands of dollars to keep them out of the tabloids. Hudson's interest deepened in 1961 after a friend invited him to a secret screening of alleged alien autopsy footage in a Beverly Hills mansion. According to attendees, Hudson sat transfixed as grainy images depicted humanoid bodies laid out on stainless steel tables. He quizzed the host on provenance, demanded copies of original negatives, and reportedly offered to finance a follow-up investigation. Studio executives, fearing damage to his all-American image, warned him to stay silent, but Hudson never renounced the footage. By the late 1960s, his Hollywood persona had split into two worlds, the suave leading man and the midnight investigator chasing cosmic truth. On location in Spain for Seconds in 1966, he and director John Frankenheimer spent evenings on mountaintops scanning the sky with borrowed military binoculars. Crew members recall Hudson scribbling star charts in his script margins, marking dates of reported sightings. Though Hudson never published his findings, friends say he confided in them about plans to open a Cosmic Research Institute in Palm Springs. His untimely death in 1985 left those ambitions unrealized, but the trove of classified-style documents found in his safe suggests that, for Hudson, Hollywood glamour and alien fascination were two sides of the same star-struck coin: Ronald Reagan. Long before the Oval Office, Ronald Reagan's Hollywood tenure included more than cowboy roles in Western sets. It featured a personal UFO encounter that he recounted throughout his political career. In 1974, while piloting his private plane over Bakersfield, Reagan described seeing a metallic disc as big as a bus trailing alongside him for several minutes. The former actor turned governor later mentioned the incident in private dinners, noting that Air Force escorts eventually intercepted the object. Reagan's aides, sworn to secrecy, kept the story under wraps until the 1980s, when transcripts from his presidential diaries surfaced. In one entry dated June 12, 1974, he wrote, "An unmarked craft hovered near my wingtip. Instruments fluctuated. No conventional explanation." Political historians speculate that Reagan's fascination with the phenomenon influenced his later calls for openness on UFO files, culminating in his 1987 directive to declassify certain aerospace reports. Hollywood colleagues remember Reagan pressing co-stars for their own sightings. On the Bedtime for Bonzo set in 1951, he purportedly paused between takes to point out a silver shape against the dusk sky. Though dismissed as promotional flair, those who knew him best insist the sightings left him genuinely unsettled and deeply curious about what lay beyond Earth's atmosphere. Reagan's dual identity, as Hollywood leading man and future world leader, lent credibility to his claims. His public remarks, delivered with the same reassuring drawl that won him millions of fans, helped legitimize UFO discourse in mainstream politics. Decades after his death in 2004, his memoirs remain a key source for researchers tracing the evolution of governmental interest in extraterrestrial phenomena. William Holden. On the African plains filming The Lion in 1955, William Holden encountered more than wild beasts. During a nighttime campfire screening of local footage, he and cinematographer Georges Perrenal witnessed a formation of lights moving in perfect V formation, yet no aircraft or stars corresponded to the pattern. Holden's journal entry for November 3, 1955, describes silent lanterns drifting across the savannah like migrating spirits. Back in Hollywood, Holden joined an informal network of actors and pilots who traded first-hand UFO reports. His friendship with test pilot Pete Everest granted him access to military radar logs, showing unexplained blips near Edwards Air Force Base. Holden pored over these records, comparing them to sighting dates and charting their coordinates on aviation maps. Studios tolerated his extracurricular research so long as it stayed off the press. But when Sabrina premiered, tabloids leaked whispers of Holden's midnight sky vigils. Insurers balk at covering his flights. Producers insisted he cancel aerial publicity stunts. Undeterred, he purchased his own radar-equipped Cessna and continued nighttime patrols, logging hours in a leather-bound flight log marked with cryptic symbols. Holden's UFO pursuits remained largely private until after his death in 1981, when a sealed trunk of sighting reports and pilot testimonies emerged at auction. Though never definitively proven, the documents reveal a man driven by genuine wonder and a belief that the greatest stories lie not on film reels, but high above Earth's horizon. Mae West. By the late 1960s, Mae West, Hollywood's ultimate femme fatale, had transformed into an unexpected evangelist for cosmic contact. In a 1968 interview with the National Enquirer, She claimed to receive telepathic messages from men in spacesuits who guided her creative impulses. West insisted these beings spoke through her during midnight trances, dictating poetry she later read at private salons. Her eccentricity alarmed studio heads, but it thrilled New Age circles. West hosted weekly cosmic soirees at her Beverly Hills home, where she and guests, ranging from socialites to ufologists, attempted to establish direct communication with extraterrestrials via Ouija boards and drum circles. Photographs from these gatherings show West adorned in sequined robes, holding a crystal orb as she gazed skyward. In her autobiography, Goodness Had Nothing to Do with It, in 1974, West devoted a chapter to the visitors, describing them as benevolent architects of human evolution. She wrote of visions where she floated above Hollywood Boulevard, flanked by pale-skinned guides who urged her to spread the word of cosmic love. Tabloid coverage painted West as a harmless eccentric, but insiders say she took her mission seriously. She drafted outlines for a screenplay titled Galactic Queen, featuring a Hollywood star who brokers peace between Earth and an alien federation. Although the project never reached production, surviving drafts reveal West's trademark wit intertwined with earnest appeals for universal harmony. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's world-weary croon and sharp suits belied a private conviction. Life on Earth was only part of a much larger story. In the early 1950s, Sinatra began attending closed-door gatherings of military officers and intelligence operatives who claimed access to UFO dossiers. He arrived unannounced at one such meeting in Palm Springs, reportedly insisting on seeing classified film reels of non-human bodies recovered from a crash site. Sinatra's entourage described him as both skeptical and enthralled, questioning every detail while refusing to dismiss the possibility. He allegedly pressed for corroborating witnesses, demanded polygraph tests of informants, and even offered to bankroll a public documentary exposing the truth. His star power, they say, nearly convinced Pentagon liaisons to authorize a controlled leak. On stage, Sinatra occasionally wove UFO allusions into his banter, joking about little green men wanting autographs. But backstage, he collected intelligence reports and annotated them with scrawled notes. Confirm with FBI. Verify metal composition. Cross-check with Roswell files. Studio brass quietly warned him to curtail his inquiries. Publicists steered interviews away from cosmic topics. In a 1969 letter to confidant Sammy Davis Jr., he mused that the universe has more stories than I have songs. After his death in 1998, a trove of classified-looking files surfaced among his personal effects, photographs, witness statements, and handwritten logs, suggesting that, for Sinatra, the ultimate encore might lie not in Vegas, but among the stars. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr.'s electrifying stage presence masked a lifelong pursuit of the mystical, and nowhere was that more apparent than in his obsession with extraterrestrial intelligence. In the late 1950s, Davis joined a clandestine circle of Hollywood mystics who met under the code name Project Stargazer. Meeting notes reveal his fascination with astral projection as a means of contacting alien minds. Davis hosted weekly starlight seances at his Los Angeles home, where he and fellow performers experimented with hypnosis, guided meditation, and early electronic voice phenomena devices. Guests claimed to hear faint, otherworldly whispers on tape, voices that Davis believed were transmissions from an advanced civilization. His interest peaked in 1963 when he acquired a fragment of alleged meteorite rock from New Mexico. Davis commissioned chemical analyses and compared the isotopic composition against known Earth materials. When results proved inconclusive, he wrote to leading astrophysicists, seeking validation for what he called a piece of the heavens. Despite the outlandish nature of his pursuits, Davis maintained his Hollywood standing. Producers noted that his UFO fascination never affected his performance. If anything, it added an enigmatic aura to his public persona. In interviews, he deflected cosmic questions with charm. "I've danced with more ghosts than I've seen spaceships," he'd quip, yet friends insist he took the subject with deadly seriousness. After his death in 1990, Davis's estate revealed dozens of letters exchanged with self-proclaimed contactees, detailed EVP recordings, and journal entries charting lunar phases for optimal communication. Sammy Davis Jr.'s legacy thus spans two realms, one of dazzling showmanship, the other of unyielding cosmic curiosity. Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper's rise from bit player to counterculture icon coincided with a profound shift in his worldview, one shaped by psychedelic experiences and alien fascination. By 1969, Hopper was living in Taos, New Mexico, where he and fellow artists claimed to witness strange lights over the desert mesas. In letters to his then-wife, Brooke Hayward, he described a silent craft moving like liquid mercury. Hopper's 1971 film, The Last Movie, subtly incorporates UFO motifs. A crashed flying saucer in the desert becomes a recurring hallucination for the lead character. Cast and crew recall Hopper insisting on filming at night, under open skies, to capture the energy of real sightings. He even invited local ranchers, self-taught UFO researchers, to consult on the script. In interviews, Hopper spoke openly about government suppression of alien evidence, citing unmarked military helicopters that he claimed chased down civilian observers. He collected homemade footage, interviewed alleged abductees, and drafted proposals for a documentary titled Cosmic Highway, though funding never materialized. Hollywood insiders say Hopper's reputation for volatility, fueled by drugs and unpredictable behavior, made studios wary of his UFO crusade. Yet those close to him remember a man driven by genuine wonder, convinced that art and cosmic truth were inseparable. When Hopper died in 2010, his archives included dozens of unedited night vision tapes, notebooks filled with star charts, and a half-written screenplay about humanity's first contact, Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn's swashbuckling image belied a private passion for the unknown. In the mid-1940s, while cruising his yacht in the South Pacific, Flynn claimed to have encountered a disk of light that hovered above the water before shooting skyward. His letters to friend and fellow adventurer C.S. Forrester describes the object as too large to be a plane, too silent to be a storm. Back in Hollywood, Flynn penned fragments of a memoir titled Beyond the Horizon, in which he speculated that ancient Polynesian legends of sky gods were rooted in real alien visitations. Though publishers balked at the manuscript's outlandish claims, Flynn circulated typescripts among confidants, hoping to spark broader interest. Flynn's fascination extended to collecting tribal artifacts purportedly linked to extraterrestrial worship, stone carvings of humanoid figures with oversized heads, and petroglyphs resembling star maps. He displayed these in his Mulholland Drive home, inviting scholars and curious neighbors to inspect them under spotlights. Studios tolerated his eccentricities until rumors surfaced that Flynn intended to fund an expedition to Easter Island in search of evidence of alien architects. Insurance underwriters withdrew coverage for his travel, and Flynn's project collapsed. Though he returned to acting, friends say he never abandoned the idea that Hollywood's greatest adventure lay not on film, but in unlocking humanity's cosmic heritage. George Van Tassel. Though not an actor, aviation engineer George Van Tassel wielded enormous influence on Hollywood's UFO subculture. In 1953, he purchased the Giant Rock airstrip in the Mojave Desert and began hosting annual interplanetary conventions, drawing everyone from B-movie directors to bit-part actors. Van Tassel claimed to receive telepathic blueprints from Venusian beings, which he used to design his Integratron, a domed structure he believed could harness cosmic energy. Celebrities like John Carradine and Josephine Baker attended these gatherings, lending them an air of stardom. Van Tassel's lecture transcripts reveal impassioned pleas for planetary peace, mixed with technical diagrams of flying saucers. He sold memberships for hefty fees, promising access to secret sessions where contacts would relay messages from off-world civilizations. Hollywood insiders remember Van Tassel as both visionary and charlatan, yet his conventions fostered genuine exchange. Pilots shared radar anomalies, ranchers presented soil samples, and self-styled contactees described aerial craft that defied known aerodynamics. Van Tassel meticulously recorded each account in bound volumes, some now housed in university archives. Though he died in 1978, Van Tassel's legacy endures. His Integratron still stands, restored by enthusiasts who believe it can rejuvenate the human body. and the network he built between engineers, mystics, and Hollywood dreamers laid the groundwork for generations of starstruck UFO investigators. George Reeves. George Reeves, forever immortalized as television's first Superman, carried his character's otherworldly resonance into real life, believing that his on-screen powers hinted at truths beyond fiction. In the late 1950s, Reeves confided in friends that recurring dreams featured a silver guardian who guided him through cosmic portals. He attributed these visions to early childhood encounters in his native Kansas, where he claimed to have witnessed a saucer-shaped object land in a wheat field. Reeves joined a small circle of Hollywood professionals who met in Burbank basements to review alleged UFO footage smuggled from military sources. Meeting minutes, preserved by a former cameraman, detail Reeves's calm narration of a 1956 sighting near Edwards Air Force Base, a silent, triangular craft, glowing at each tip. Though Reeves's acting career waned by the late 1950s, his cosmic preoccupations intensified. He drafted an outline for a series called Beyond Earth, featuring dramatizations of real contact cases. Producers rejected it as too niche. Reeves shelved the project, his scripts gathering dust in a filing cabinet. His tragic death in 1959 cut short any chance of publicizing those ideas. Yet among his personal effects, researchers discovered detailed star charts annotated with his own notations, lines drawn between constellations, dates of reported sightings, and cryptic references to the ones who watch, Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck, Hollywood's consummate professional, was as disciplined off-screen as she was on. Yet in the late 1950s, friends noticed a shift. The actress who once rose at dawn for ranch rides began hosting twilight vigils on her Malibu property. According to correspondence preserved by a longtime confidant, Stanwyck spotted a formation of silent, cigar-shaped lights gliding above the Pacific coastline one summer evening. The objects moved in perfect synchronization, their glow unwavering against the dark sky. Disturbed yet intrigued, Stanwyck sought guidance from a private astrologer known for interpreting celestial portents. Letters exchanged between them reveal her belief that the lights carried messages, warnings, or invitations from beyond Earth. The astrologer's hand-scrawled reports describe Stanwyck's heightened intuition, vivid dreams of star-flecked landscapes, and figures bathed in pale green luminescence. She began marking lunar phases in her personal diary, timing nightly vigils to coincide with new moon darkness. Studio executives, wary of her growing eccentricity, discreetly discouraged on-location shoots near the coast after dusk. Yet Stanwyck persisted, installing a rooftop platform equipped with binoculars and a primitive radio scanner. Neighbors recalled hearing her mutter into a microphone, calling out coordinates she believed might attract a response. Despite the risk to her box office draw, she financed the equipment herself, convinced that Hollywood's brightest lights could not outshine the mysteries above. By the early 1960s, Stanwyck's cosmic pursuits had become a private obsession. She gifted friends star charts annotated with her own symbols, triangles denoting sighting points, circles for presumed landing zones. Though she never went public, the actress's late-night vigils and celestial sketches endure as testament to a legend who, even at the height of fame, refused to dismiss the possibility that some stories lie not in scripts, but in the silent dance of lights above the ocean horizon. Jane Russell. Jane Russell's sultry on-screen presence belied a restless curiosity about the unknown. In 1962, she purchased a retreat on Catalina Island, drawn by its remote vantage and clear skies. Letters found in her private archive describe how she invited a small circle of friends, screenwriters, stunt pilots, and amateur astronomers, to join her for nightly sky watches. Armed with binoculars, charted star maps, and a homemade driftwood platform overlooking the ocean, Russell believed the island's isolation made it prime territory for UFO sightings. Those gatherings began as casual stargazing parties, but soon took on a ritualistic air. Guests recalled Russell meticulously timing each session to coincide with reported waves of sightings in Southern California. She kept a leather-bound logbook, noting dates, compass bearings, and descriptions. Silent silver discs, amber glowing spheres, and once, a formation of lights that parted like curtains. When the group recorded faint radio static, unaccounted for by local stations, Russell declared it evidence of otherworldly broadcast. As word spread among her inner circle, Russell acquired more sophisticated gear, a surplus military telescope, a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and a stack of classified Air Force bulletins procured through a retired officer friend. She cross-referenced civilian reports with official files, seeking patterns in witness testimonies. On clear nights, she played back snippets of alleged UFO audio for her guests, gauging their reactions to the eerie whispers and mechanical hums. Though Catalina's summer fog sometimes obscured the view, Russell remained undeterred. She sketched crude diagrams of the island's western cliffs, marking vantage points where sightings clustered. Her dedication earned her the nickname Commander among the group, an affectionate nod to her leadership in the island's makeshift observatory. Even after selling the retreat, Russell continued her investigations in Los Angeles, carrying forward the conviction that somewhere beyond those coastal stars, mysteries awaited discovery. Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers arrived in Hollywood in 1958 as a celebrated British comic, but it was his encounter with the night sky over Mulholland Drive that left an indelible mark. According to a production memo from his first American film, Sellers abruptly abandoned the set one evening, binoculars in hand, chasing a bright, disc-like object gliding silently above the hills. Crew members found him perched on a soundstage roof, eyes fixed skyward, muttering, "It's not a plane. What in heaven's name is it?" Back at his rented bungalow, Sellers documented the sighting in letters to his friend Spike Milligan. He described a perfect circle of light, moving with intent, no strobe, no engine roar. The following day, he pressed studio press agents for technical details, wind speed, aircraft schedules, even local air traffic control logs, insisting on an explanation. When none satisfied him, Sellers began compiling his own case files, Polaroid snaps of night sky, hand-drawn sketches of the object's trajectory, and typed transcripts of late-night radio chatter intercepted on a shortwave receiver. Colleagues noted that Sellers' fascination seeped into his work. He improvised UFO references into rehearsals, ad-libbing lines about little green men during comedic bits. Directors, amused by his antics, indulged him, often filming retakes under starlit skies. Yet behind the humor lay earnest conviction. Sellers wrote an unfinished screenplay titled The Man Who Wasn't Here, blending existential comedy with alien visitation, though the project never secured funding. Even after returning to Britain, Sellers remained convinced that something had brushed Earth that night. He gifted friends fragments of his skylogs, complete with margin notes. Witnesses saw it too. Don't let them forget. Decades later, those fragments surfaced in an auction of his estate, sparking renewed interest in the star who once chased UFOs as eagerly as he pursued laughter, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby's smooth croon and easy charm made him Hollywood royalty, but in the privacy of his Palm Springs estate, he harbored a penchant for the macabre and mysterious. During the late 1950s, Crosby transformed his home theater into a clandestine screening room, complete with blackout curtains and military-style projectors. On select evenings, he invited a tight circle of confidants, fellow entertainers, retired officers, and defense contractors to view purported alien autopsy footage. Eyewitnesses recall the hush that fell over the room as grainy frames flickered to life. Humanoid forms laid out on stainless steel tables, their limbs too long, their skulls too large. Crosby, ever the consummate host, passed trays of hors d'oeuvres while fielding hushed questions about film provenance. He claimed the reels originated from a covert Air Force archive, though no official record confirms their authenticity. Undeterred by skepticism, Crosby amassed related materials, fragmented transcripts of government memos, secondhand Polaroids of crash sites, and testimonials from self-described contactees. He stored these in a fireproof safe beneath his piano, labeling each dossier with cryptic codes. Friends who later perused the files described detailed annotations, verify lab analysis, cross-reference Roswell witness, and a secure chain of custody. Crosby's fascination extended beyond private screenings. He once attempted to produce a documentary blending his musical numbers with UFO testimony, envisioning a film that would marry entertainment with revelation. Studio executives balked, fearing public ridicule. The project stalled, but Crosby continued his research in solitude, convinced that exposing the truth was worth any professional risk. By the time of his death in 1977, Crosby had amassed a trove of materials that to this day fuel speculation. Whether genuine evidence or elaborate hoax, the footage and files he collected stand as proof that even Hollywood's most beloved star could not resist the lure of life beyond Earth. Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston's commanding presence in epics like Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments masked a meticulous intellect and a private obsession with cosmic mysteries. In 1965, while shooting the warlord in Ireland, Heston discovered a box of declassified U.S. Air Force reports in a local antiquarian bookshop, documents detailing unexplained aerial phenomena. Intrigued, he purchased the lot and carried the files back to his Beverly Hills home, where he established a small library dedicated to UFO research. He shared his findings with trusted colleagues, including a special effects technician who helped him build a simple telescope mount on set. Together, they observed night skies during breaks, logging hours of stargazing under the California firmament. Heston's dedication deepened when a retired Air Force colonel, introduced through mutual friends, offered him access to additional archives. The actor reviewed Project Blue book summaries, cross-checking cases with civilian newspapers. He grew particularly interested in the 1952 Washington, D.C. radar incidents, commissioning a private analysis of raw data. His conclusions remained unpublished, but letters show he believed the government had underestimated the phenomenon's significance. Though never public about his UFO pursuits, Heston slipped references into interviews, speaking of a universe teeming with possibilities and warning against dismissing eyewitness accounts. Producers, aware of his stature, tolerated the remarks. Heston even considered producing a televised special exploring humanity's cosmic neighbors, though studio politics and budget concerns shelved the idea. When he passed in 2008, Heston's estate included his annotated files, star charts, and correspondence with military insiders. These materials, now part of a private collection, underscore the image of a Hollywood titan who, even amid chariot races and Red Sea partings, never lost sight of the stars beyond the screen. Outro. So the next time you gaze up at the night sky, remember, even Hollywood's brightest stars couldn't resist the allure of the unknown. From Reagan's mid-air encounters to Sinatra's secret screenings, these legends blurred the line between fantasy and reality, proving that sometimes the greatest stories aren't scripted, they're written in the stars. But what do you think? Were these icons chasing cosmic truth, or just another Hollywood spectacle? Drop your theories in the comments below, and if you liked this deep dive into Tinseltown's secrets, smash that like button and subscribe for more mysteries from the golden age of glamour.